Well, good morning, everybody. Looks like we have, I think, most of our attendees here. So we're going to go ahead and get started with this. First thing we're going to go into is just to address the obvious. I mean, the elephant in the room with this, with the current situation going on. And obviously our summer situation may look different than what we were planning for it to look. So rest assured that we are preparing for the worst, but we're hoping for the best at the same time. So we're having daily conversations as far as how this summer will look. And you know, in one way or another, we fully intend to have the corporate games. If some events have to be postponed, we are open to extending the time frame that the game takes place. You know, if we're unable to get together, gather in groups for a time, we'll be working on maybe some additional virtual events that we can do in the meantime. And it's possible that the time frame changes and the events change a little bit, but during times like these, the reason for the corporate games is more important than ever, we really feel. And it's just another way that we can connect with our coworkers and with our communities. And so with that said, this meeting does have a lot of important information included. So we'll conduct the meeting as though the events will go on as scheduled. And if we do have to make changes, we will remain in communication with all of the company admins and kind of let you know what plans are going forward. So as always, if you have questions, we'll talk about this many times, but if you have questions, let us know, and we're happy to help out. So we're going to start today by introducing Nora Burkle and Becky Madsen from Transamerica, who will give our welcome. And of course, Transamerica was supposed to host our in-person meeting, so we want to thank them for all the work that they've done to kind of help us prepare for that and host that meeting last year. So we're just thankful that they've been willing to work with us on that.
Thanks, Matt. So we just wanted to welcome everyone to the Corridor Corporate Games kickoff meeting. We at Transamerica are really excited to be the sponsor of this year's games. Although we couldn't be together in person, we're still really happy that we're able to be together on this call.
There you go, Becky. I had to unmute you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I was obviously riding the struggle bus over here. All right. So as most of you guys know, this is year 2 for the Corridor Corporate Games. And we are really anxious to see what this year holds. We as a company had just a ton of fun participating in the games last year, and our employees, as well as the employees from many other companies, just had a really great time coming together outside of work to represent our various employers in the community. There were a lot of new friendships that were formed over the course of the games, and probably a few rivalries as well. So we're really proud about the engagement level that we had from our employees. We know that you all are proud of the participation from your employees and coworkers as well. So I just wanted to give a quick shout out to you all and thank you guys as company captains and administrators and all of the efforts that have gone into planning this so far. We know at Transamerica, we know firsthand the amount of work that goes into pulling something like this off. And so we just wanted to give a big shout out and say thank you to everybody, because it really couldn't be done without the efforts of every single person on this call.
And as a quick note on last year's experience at Transamerica, we had over 200 participants, and we really enjoyed getting to know our coworkers outside of work and also the friendly competition with other companies in the area. And of course, winning the corporate games for our division was awesome. So we're definitely excited to defend the cup this year. And with that, I will pass it back to you, Matt.
All right, thank you. I'm going to go ahead and briefly turn on my webcam just so you can see me. See that I am here in my basement helping conduct this meeting. So again, welcome everybody for participating today and taking the time. It's kind of a weird time, I know, for everybody with their schedules. A lot of you probably are doing the same thing as I am and working from home. So we're really excited to go through all the details for the corporate games. Again, my name is Matt Beatty. If we haven't officially met, I'm the Chief Operating Officer for the Iowa Sports Foundation, and I also serve as the Director for the Corridor Corporate Games. And this is our 2nd year of the competition. And we've had a similar event in Des Moines. This will be the 5th year for that. Seen a lot of success, and we're seeing that too with Corridor. It's really mirrored that as far as how the camaraderie and the teamwork and the employee engagement. It's been a great thing to see it come together. And so here in our second year, we're looking to just build upon that. While I'm doing a little welcome here, I do want to introduce to you our newest staff member, Kyle Wagner. Kyle joined us in September, and you've probably talked with Kyle over the past few months. He was helping out with our informational webinars if you attended one of those. So he was that other voice that you heard, and he'll be taking a lead role with the corporate games this summer and probably be the person you'll be talking to quite a bit if you have questions. So Kyle, go ahead and say hello if you'd like.
Good morning, everybody.
And so Kyle will be talking a lot during this presentation as well. So first things first, we do want to talk about our charity partner, which is Said Family Children's Hospital, University of Iowa. Really important to us to have a charity partner for this event. A portion of all of the company entry fees does go to the Children's Hospital. Last year, we gave a check for a little over $3,000 to the hospital during our award ceremony. And we're looking forward to doing the same thing again this year at Fry Fest on September 4th, which is what we're planning for our award ceremony. Now I'm going to shut off my webcam. You guys don't want to look at me for 90 minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and shut that off. All right, so kind of a quick overview of what we're going to do today in general is we'll talk about some of our community challenges, go through our sport and event information. We'll highlight a few unique events to kind of give a little more detail on those. We'll go through our administrator tools that we offer to the company administrators, some things that you can use to help with promoting to your employees, just general organization of the corporate games itself internally. Obviously, it is some work. We understand that, and so our goal is always make it easier on everybody. Also, we'll talk about Corporate Games Manager, which is the software, kind of the back end piece to the Corridor Corporate Games website, and is really the backbone for the corporate games. So we'll go through that in detail. So we do want you to stick around for that. And then we'll open up to questions after that. If you do have questions during the presentation, there is a box that you can ask questions, and I'll be keeping an eye on it. Kyle will be watching that, and we'll try to answer them as we go. Some of those questions may get answered in the presentation, so we might hold off on a few, but if all else fails, once we get to the end, we'll be able to answer questions and even probably hand over the audio to you if you have a question you just want to ask without typing it in. All right, so our first event we're going to talk about is our blood donation challenge. And I think Jessie is having a little trouble with the audio. I don't know if she's able to speak or not, but I've got Michelle here too. Whoops, sorry, pressing the wrong buttons here. And so I'll let you guys go ahead. I'm going to unmute you, Michelle.
Yeah, good morning. Jessie, can you talk? Can we hear you?
I called in. Is it?
Yeah.
Yes, there we go.
Awesome.
Okay. All right.
So good morning. My name is Michelle Catlett, and I'm with the Mississippi Valley Regional Blood Center. Jessie, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, and I'm Jessie Henricks, and I am the blood drive coordinator for the University of Iowa DeGowan Blood Center.
Awesome. So we're super excited to be involved with the second year. We are both the Mississippi Valley Blood Center and DeGowan at the University of Iowa are the local blood providers for the local hospitals. So Unity Point, Mercy Iowa City, University of Iowa hospitals, we provide all the blood for those local hospitals. So to be involved with this and for you guys to partner with us to help supply the local blood supply is so important. Last year alone, Jessie, you can jump in here. I think we just because of the corporate challenge, we provided over 800 units of blood between the two of us. Is that correct?
Yeah, I had about 1,000 almost a little over, I think 1,000 actually. So with both of us combined, I think that's the number from that. So that was really awesome because it did definitely help us out. Summer can be a really hard time. We don't get as many people that are coming in because they're taking vacations or, you know, just busy with other activities or we're not in school. And so the Corridor Games is a great way to kind of promote donating blood, especially during such a busy time, blood and other blood products as well. And then, of course, anyone willing to host a blood drive at this time, I know we are also at a kind of in an odd situation as blood centers ourselves. And so we're just kind of here at the University of Iowa, we're kind of just doing it on a day-by-day basis, trying to figure out what we can make work, adapting to all the changes that kind of come up. But for anyone interested, of course, in donating with us or sponsoring some type of blood drive or blood collection at a certain site, you can definitely reach out to both of us in order to do that. Michelle,
Yeah. So because things are a little weird right now, a lot of people are working from home. And so having a blood drive at your location may not be something that you guys can do right now. And hopefully by the summer, things will change. But something we can also do, and Jesse, again, jump in here if this is something that you guys are able to do, but host an in-center, blood drive where you invite your employees into the center to give on behalf of your company. So that's something that we can do if things don't get any better this summer.
Right, and of course you can come in and donate at any time from May 1st, and I think maybe extended past July 31st this year, and just mention that you're here donating for the Corridor Corporate Games, and that donation will be credited to whatever company you're with.
Yeah, and I just wanted to jump in here too. So we're kind of in a weird position as far as the blood donation during this time. People have been amazing and really answered the call to donate blood right now. But we're really worried about this summer. Blood only has a shelf life of 42 days. So as we get into May, June, July, August, we are really needing those people who have donated now to come back or again, give in the summertime. So this challenge could really be a saving grace for us.
Yes. And then, of course, the company that brings in the most donations will win the Blood Donation Challenge Award. And we, of course, will be presenting that at Fry Fest as well, along with the other awards.
All right. Well, thanks, Jesse. Thanks, Michelle, for joining us for this. And yeah, like Jesse mentioned, the competition piece of this, it's not part of the point system for the corporate games, but it is a separate award on its own. And of course, depending on how we can do this with the hosting of blood drives, if you host a drive, anybody who comes to your site can count for your company, or you can just come into one of the blood centers and donate for your company as well. And so, as was alluded to there too, this may, go on beyond July 31st. We'll kind of see how it goes and play it by ear, but we're definitely open to doing that as we are with some of our other events. So, but again, yeah, thank you for joining us and being part of the corporate games. And we're really, really happy we can, help facilitate this for the blood centers. So.
Yes, thank you. And if anyone has any questions, feel free. I know Matt's going to share our information. Feel free to reach out to us, and we're happy to answer those as we can come up with answers, I guess. So.
Yep, and we'll have like Jesse mentioned, we'll have a follow-up email coming out here probably midway through the presentation that has some information kind of going forward for the next steps for company administrators, and we'll have the contact information on there too for Jesse and Michelle, as well as some of our other presenters if you need to follow up and ask questions. So, all right, thanks again. We're going to go ahead and head to Blood Donation Challenge, or sorry, Meals from the Heartland Challenge. That's the next one. All right, Joel is here for Meals from the Heartland. I'm going to unmute you here, and if you want to show your webcam, you're more than welcome to. I'll let you talk about this.
Yeah, we are excited for this second year as well. Last year we doubled the amount of meals that we packaged, and I'm going to attribute that basically to the Corridor Games. We had about 403 total participants last year, with OPN Architects leading the way at 56, followed by Van Meter brought 51, CCR brought 49, and Transamerica brought 32 volunteers. So all of our information is very clear. It's the registration is going to go live starting April 20th. You can see the dates of our event is June 4th through the 6th at the Cedar Rapids Convention Complex. In years past, we've had free parking, so I'm going to assume we're going to also have free parking vouchers once you come in and check in. One little thing to note would be your shift time is right when we're going to start the training session. So please plan to arrive 5 to 10 minutes early because there is a check-in process. You'll get the cool high fashion hairnet as you are coming in. And then we obviously want to give your company credit for you showing up. Family members are also encouraged to participate in our event. This is a great team building activity. So, you know, when you do show up, we'll put you guys at a table together and give you a goal of how many meals you're going to try to package. And so essentially, we're not competing to see who makes the most meals. The competition is still just based on a number of volunteers you can get to show up and help package meals. One thing I will leave you with as well would be the fact that we have every participant will package about 500 meals, or enough we say would feed 2 starving kids for a year. So it's every person that shows up is going to help feed 2 kids for a year. So that's a great way of looking at this. So that's hopefully going to encourage you as the administrators of this to really get the word out and get your teams to sign up. Again, most of the information is right on the Corridor website. There's a rule. If you click on the rules, there's a few more kind of like a sheet that will help walk you through it. There is a link that takes you to our website. Again, on April 20th, there will be a little button. They'll say click here to register. I think we've already put some of the shift times are out there. I put them on an info sheet. I haven't been able to find that info sheet, so it's probably in your guys' packet. Again, click on that link and it'll take you right to where we need to be. And we're looking forward to our goal this year is to package 400,000 meals. Last year we did just under 300,000 meals. So I can tell you that yes, this pandemic is causing major problems in our, you know, if we're shut down basically right now. We are packaging a few meals at 2 prisons here in Iowa, but that's probably going to come to a screeching halt after this week as well. So essentially, we are not packaging meals, and people are. The need is great right now. So we're really counting on this event. Most of the meals that we package here will go right to HACAP. I will tell you that last week we also donated 50,000 meals to HACAP because they ran out of our meals already from last year. So we're an Iowa-based organization. We love feeding hungry Iowans. So we will again be making that Taco Mac meal, which is more or less our domestic meal. It's gone over very, very well. The people at HACAP obviously requested more, and we were able to provide them with a little bit. But the goal again is to package 400,000 meals this year. So with that, I am done.
All right, thanks, Joel. Appreciate it. And like you mentioned, the information is on the website. If that info sheet, I know we have that. I know Kyle and I will make sure that that's on the website as well, so that you have access to that through the event page for Meals from the Heartland Challenge. So kind of going through with what Joel said a little bit. Again, just like with the Blood Donation Challenge, this is a separate award for the corporate games, and so it's based on the number of volunteers that are provided at the events or with the mobile meal packaging events, if they're able to happen too. So yeah, Jill mentioned April 20th. I had on there May 1st. So April 20th, just know that date is the date that registration will open for that. And then if you have questions, we'll have Joel and Georgie, another staff member from Millsville Heartland. We'll have their information on that follow-up email that you will be receiving here today. All right, so we're going to go through some of our other sport and event information. Kyle, why don't you go ahead and take it from here?
All right, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, so let's talk about who is eligible to participate. So the Corridor Corporate Games is for your full and part-time regular employees in the Cedar Rapids, Iowa City area. And we also allow retirees and interns to compete. Several events are family friendly. Some events do require a fee to the organizer of the event. So for example, if your family member wants to do the Fourth Fest, the road race, that they can do so. They would just have to register through the Fourth Fest. But like fitness walk, cycling, tour ride, those require no fees, and family members are more than welcome to join. They obviously can't earn points for the company, but they can definitely join. But see our website for more information on that. And here we have the sport and event calendar for this year. It is a mix of weekend and weekday events. The calendar is complete and posted on the homepage in the admin toolkit on the website. We also have some division-specific calendars there, so you can download those calendars, and they'll only your division-specific calendar will show only events that are specific to your company. So speaking of the website, I cannot stress enough how important the site is for information on each Corporate Games event. In most cases, the website can answer any question that your employees will have. From time to time, from the time, location, when the schedule will be available, the approximate time and length of the event that the participants can expect to be there. And let's see, trying to think. If you do have any other questions that aren't on the website, don't hesitate to reach out. That can help us get more information on the website, as others might have the same question. So I want to definitely express that. Don't be afraid to reach out to myself.
All right, thanks, Kyle. Let's take a few minutes now and go through some of the different event types that are offered. And as Kyle mentioned, some of these are family friendly. Some may require a fee to the organizer. For Corporate Games participants, they are free. So these are all free to your employees. But kind of going through this, we have several. This is the individual sports and events that we have, and several individual events are offered, including competitive and non-competitive. Events that have, these events are generally unlimited as far as number of participants. And those events, if it's unlimited participation, there's no intervention required on the part of the employer or the administrator to let us know how many people are coming. We use the information that's provided to us in Corporate Games Manager just to get an idea of how many people to expect, because your employees will declare their interest there for the different events. Going along with that, there's no penalty for no-shows for these events unless it's specified in the rules. And I can tell you, looking at this list, there isn't any that that would apply to. So we offer several participation events, such as our walks with the fitness and nature walks, cycling, yoga. We definitely encourage you to have your employees attend these events, because they're a great way to get everybody involved, and they can be worth quite a few points that way. So the competitive events are age group based. Corporate Games Manager will show employees the age group they're eligible for when they declare their interest. And the date that determines a participant's age varies per event, but it's generally the day of the event. And the only thing on this screen that is not unlimited in number of participants is track and field, and we'll talk about that briefly. So with track and field, as I mentioned, there's a limited number on the amount of participants for each company, which is 2 men and 2 women per age group per event, except for 50 plus, which allows 4 men and 4 women. So it can be different people. The 100-meter dash can have 2 different men and women for the age groups, and the 400 could have 2 different men and women, or it could be the same. It depends on how you want to do it. We get some iron athletes out there that like to do every event for their company. So this year we're doing something a little bit different. track and field is always a little bit of a challenge. It's a little unique in that I'll get into this later, but we don't ask for rosters for anything except for track and field, because we have to know who's competing in those events so that we can produce heat sheets and get everything organized. And so last year we did kind of a manual sheet where we sent that out to the companies and everybody had to turn it back in by the deadline. This year we're going to be using athletic.net, and this site will allow you to set your track and field rosters and allow our timer to download those lists to make a quick turnaround for the heat sheets. And so later this week, your main company administrator, the lead admin, will receive an email on setting up an account. Each company, we already have a team page activated in athletic.net, and that the team has been invited to participate in the track meet. And so this website, you'll notice it's built for track, it's and cross country. It's so some of the terminology might be geared more towards high school and college, but it works just the same for us. It works really well. Since track is a few months away, rather than show you a lot of the details on how this works, we will, I have created a tutorial. It's already on the website, just a little video for how to go through everything. So it shows you how you can add additional coaches to your team, which would be a sport captain or their company administrators. That way they can modify rosters, and it shows how to upload participants and enter them into their events. Roster edits for track and field can be made up until Friday, June 26th at 5. That is the deadline for track and field rosters, and at that point, we'll download those lists and get them to our timer, and the participants will be entered into heats at that time. So with this method, we should be able to produce pretty quick heat sheets and get those out there so people know ahead of time kind of what the schedule looks like. And then on the day of the meet, we'll get into check-in here in a little bit, but participants will check in just like they would at any other event. And so going along with this, submitting accurate rosters is really important. We won't be able to make changes or substitutions on site for the meet or after the deadline. There's a lot of moving parts to track and field. And so if we have to let one person make a change, then everybody who wants to make a change, we have to make a change. And so that can have a drastic effect on how the meet, how everything rolls out. So but I'd say the only real problem we ran into last year, and it's a minor problem, but if an employee didn't put in their correct date of birth, then sometimes it kind of has a problem with the age groups. But otherwise, for the most part, it worked out pretty well. And so we just want to make sure to emphasize that people put in their correct gender, correct age, correct date of birth, so that not only for the other events, but track and field specifically, everything shows up correctly. And so if you do not put anybody in on a roster for track and field on athletic.net, your company won't be able to participate in track. So we want to make that pretty clear that you need to get in there. And my suggestion would be to utilize our sport captain feature, which we'll discuss here a little bit later, and let an employee or employees who are interested in participating in the track meet be responsible for submitting rosters. That way it takes some of the pressure off you as a company admin to do that work. And so as we talked about, that main company contact that'll get the email will be able to add additional users. They're called coaches in the system since it's a track site. And that will allow those people then to do the same work. All right, so team sports do have a limit on the number of participants per company team, as well as a limit on the number of teams per company. And we do have a sheet that explains this very well. It's called our sport roster limits, deadlines, and schedule availability document. Very long name, but it covers a lot of things. So that'll be in the admin toolkit on our website. Again, when you get into the website, we'll show you where that is so you know where to find it. And for scheduling purposes, we also have a deadline for each team event where a company tells us yes or no as to whether or not they'll be providing a team. These deadlines are on Wednesdays, roughly 2 weeks before a team sport takes place. And then we'll have that deadline on Wednesday, and then by 5 o'clock on Friday, we'll post a schedule for that particular sport. So that way you've got some time to look at that. And we'll email company admins when that schedule is available and direct you to the website to download a copy. Having those schedules available a couple weeks in advance allows companies to be, it's close enough to the date of the event to know whether or not you're going to have interest to participate in a team sport. But also far enough away from the event date for participating employees to see the schedule and plan accordingly. Because for those of you who did corporate games last year, you probably saw occasionally once the schedule comes out, somebody will say, oh, I didn't realize what day that event was and can't participate. And so it leaves you looking for somebody else to be on that roster. And hopefully through Corporate Games Manager, you'll have some other people that have signed up to participate. And so we'll kind of go through that a little bit for how to do that. But just another thing to emphasize with this, like I said earlier, we don't ask for rosters for the team sports. We just simply need to know whether or not you're going to have a team at that deadline. That allows us to make the schedule. If you say you're going to have a team and we have a team no-show, that's where some penalty points can come in. If you tell us you're not going to have a team, we don't schedule you, no penalty points, no worries, no problems at that point. So what matters to us as far as the roster piece goes is that you know that you have participants that are coming to the event and that enough participants show up to play and check in and they have their account set up in Corporate Games Manager, that good stuff. So we find out who's playing the day of the event. That's good enough for us. All right, and just kind of go along with this, here's an example of that document that you'll find on the website. You can see the columns there. Should be able to read that a little bit. Sport and event, the team limits, which like bags is the top one on there. You get 2 open teams, so they can be men or women. The minimum roster is 2, maximum roster is 2. That's a pretty simple one. And that company deadline is, these are last year's numbers, so don't ignore the deadlines, but we can show you the official one for this year. But just kind of give another example, basketball 3-on-3, minimum roster for a team is 3, but a maximum is 6. And so if you're in Division 1, you get 2 teams, so you'll be able to have 6 to 12 players, and you just have to determine ahead of time which team each person is going to be on. And again, everything's there as far as the deadline and that when the schedule is available, and again, no rosters to submit. All right, and I mentioned employee check-in a couple times here. If you were with us last year, you saw we had a computer set up where people could check in. It was an Access file that we had to do some manual work on. And so occasionally we had some hiccups where somebody might have had an account in Corporate Games Manager, maybe set it up last minute after we had downloaded our lists, or we didn't get them put into the system after they did fill out a waiver on site. And so our goal, of course, is to get everybody to get their accounts ready to go ahead of time. But we're doing something a little bit different this year. And just real quick, why the check-in is important is it helps us know if the participants have agreed to the liability waiver for corporate games, and also for events like the fitness walk or yoga, or like that picture that's from the nature walk last year. That's how we record points for the company, is if that person is checked in to participate and is there, they earn their points. So the check-in process is really important for a lot of reasons. And so new this year, we've updated that check-in process. It's going to be an online system. We'll work to make sure we have internet at all of our locations, whether it be through a hotspot or internet that's on Wi-Fi that's on site. And we've got a couple different ways that participants can check in. And one of them is to use our devices. We'll have them, goes right to the website. I'll show you an example of this when we get into the site, but it'll be very simple where they check in. Ideally, we have people that have their accounts all ready to go. It'll make it a lot easier because they'll just type in their name, check in for their event, and that's it. If they don't have their account set up, they'll be able to set that up on site too. We might have to pull them off the side so that we can keep the lines moving. But another method for check-in this year, which is going to be really nice, you see that QR code on the screen. I'm sure a lot of you have your phones right now, so I'll leave it on there for a few seconds here. But if you want to, if you have a QR reader or can pull up the QR code with the camera app on your phone, that will take you to, it should be a live test check-in right now for one that's set up. And so you can see how that works. And the cool thing about that is we'll have that printed out. We'll have it on site in a little sheet off the side, and participants can go up to it. They can take that picture and they can check in on their phone. And it does require location services to be active so that we can make sure that the person's on site at the event. And but otherwise, it's pretty simple. We tested it out yesterday with our Des Moines Corporate Games, and people loved it. So really excited to have that option, and that should allow people to not have to necessarily wait in line. Just take that picture, and they can do their check-in while they're doing their walk. So as part of this, the nice thing is with having this system all built into our website is it'll make the reporting piece easier. We had a few companies last year that asked us for reports of participants after all the events, and it was a little manual work putting that together. Now we can easily do that. We'll have that built into a database already. The other nice thing is that you as a company administrator will be able to pull those reports as well. So you'll be able to go in and pull by the different events or pull a report for the whole summer to kind of see what your participation was like. All right, Kyle, and give you over back to you to talk about Burst Your Thirst.
All right. Yes, so Burst Your Thirst is administered through Live Healthy Iowa. Registration opens May 4th. Participants will need to register using the Live Healthy Iowa site. That is a very important thing to remember. Companies form their own teams, but the team aspect isn't as important for the corporate games piece. You can use the teams internally if you wish to create some competition amongst your employees. So company admins will receive a group ID and subsidy code by May 4th. That makes the activity free when participants register. Make sure that when you advertise the challenge, you include the specific group ID and subsidy code so participants don't get charged. Flyers will be available for print and will be able to be customized to include these codes. Everyone who signs up will receive a water bottle to use during the challenge as well. The water bottles will be packaged by team and company and available for pickup at the fitness walk.
I muted you there, Kyle. Sorry. Real quick on that, and not the fitness walk, the nature walk. That was my mistake when we were putting together our notes, because the nature walk is much earlier.
That's right. Yes, sorry. Nature walk. So while we encourage everyone to participate in the nature walk, companies can have designated employees pick up water bottles for multiple teams. We've also changed up the scoring system this year. So you'll want to see the Burst Your Thirst rules for examples on that. But to briefly explain it, employees must record at least once per week for 5 of the 6 weeks to count towards the company participation. Points will be given per 1% of the company that completes the challenge, and placing points will be awarded based off the percentage of eligible employees in each company that complete the challenge. Again, see the Burst Your Thirst rules on the website for some more specific examples. So another new feature for 2020 is our Learn and Earn webinars. So we've added this opportunity so that employees can do another activity right from their desk and still participate in the games. So this will be a monthly webinar series called Learn and Earn. We will have 3 webinars that will focus on topics to help participants lead a healthier lifestyle. Each topic will feature a subject matter expert. I know we have Danny Flahy, he's assistant professor of exercise science, and Jeff Woody is another one. So we got some very good presenters. So the implementation with a live event, it will be a recorded version of the webinar, and you have a set time frame to watch each webinar. So basically, once it's posted, you'll have a week to watch it to earn company points. Each employee that watches can earn 5 points per webinar that they watch. In order to earn points, employees must register individually to watch the webinar, and we will use this information to tally points. This information is up on the website, and we will post more information as they are finalized.
All right, thanks, Kyle. And the cool thing about the Learn and Earn webinars, that was something we've been planning for a little while before all of the current crisis was going on. So we wanted to find other ways that people can participate, maybe from their desk or from home. And so that was kind of a nice thing we can add, and just to kind of help make the corporate games more well-rounded too, and give an education piece to it. So going on to our volunteer component with the corporate games, volunteers are vital to the success of the games, and volunteer needs throughout the summer. We're a small staff, of course. You've got Kyle and I, and then we've got Jeff from Iowa City Park and Rec, who couldn't join us today. They're pretty busy with some emergency things going on there. But and then we'll have our intern. But that's our staff. And so for us, some of these events require some additional help for us. And the nice thing is with the volunteer piece is the companies can earn points for that. And it's all simple tasks. It's things that don't require any training or any special knowledge. Anything that's needed will be on site. Some examples would be directing participants at the road race, helping with check-in at a fitness walk, scorekeeping for 3-through basketball, things like that. And so while volunteering isn't required for every company, we definitely encourage companies to participate in this. We're not going to ask for a ton of volunteers per company. You can see on the screen there, that's our maximum anticipated. We're working on that list right now, getting things together, but it'll be based on how many companies decide to participate in volunteering. And when you see 10 volunteers for a Division I, that's over the entire summer. So it'd be generally done in pairs is what we usually do it. So it might be 5 different times that we ask you to provide 2 volunteers. And we've got some good features built in for this to help with that. But the points are worth quite a bit more than participation points because the volunteer spots are so important. And you're also allowed, say you have 2 volunteers that you're asked to bring in for an event. If you bring 4, you'll get points for those too. Don't bring us 30 volunteers for 2 spots. Haven't had anybody do that yet, but we won't have anything for 30 volunteers to do. 2 or 3 extras, sure, we'll find something for them to do. That's not a problem to help out. But so basically, when we get into Corporate Games Manager, I'll kind of show you where you can officially list your company wants to provide volunteers. And you also, like I said, we'll use those answers to help us determine exactly how many per division, and it will be even across those companies. So if Division 1, in this scenario that's on the screen, every company that wants to have volunteers would provide 10. That way we have an equal opportunity to earn points, and then there's other ways through the bonus volunteers to earn extra points, as well as some other opportunities to come up, which I'll explain here in a second. But we'll use, like I said, use those answers in Corporate Games Manager. If you say yes, that'll help us know how many companies want to provide volunteers. And also there's I'll show you this when we get in there, but in the volunteer menu, there's the ability to select your top 5 preferences for events as far as volunteering goes. And my disclaimer is on this, while there's no guarantee that your company will receive your preferred events, we will use those preferences to assign volunteer spots. So those preferences are time-stamped, so the sooner you submit your preferences, the more likely your company is to get the preferred events that you had asked for. So preferences are due by May 1st, and then we'll assign tasks to companies within a few days. That's a Friday, so hopefully by that next Monday, we'll be able to churn that out to you as far as what assignments your company has. And the fun part about Corporate Games Manager is I don't know if it's fun, I guess, we do have a piece in there that when employees sign up for their account or when they're setting up their account again this year for the first time, it does ask in there if they would like to be a volunteer for their company to earn points, just a simple yes or no. It's a pretty open-ended there. But the ones that do say yes, they'll be on a list. And so we have a report that you can pull. And so that's where you can start when you're looking for your volunteers. Those are the people to reach out to first. And then if you need to reach out beyond that, you can. The other part about this is family members can count as volunteers to fill the company spots. So, or friends, this is the only time in the corporate games that family and friends can earn points for the company. And so as long as the family members, if you have kids, as long as they're 16 years or older, they can fill those spots. A new feature this year, last year, you may remember, we'd send out occasionally emails just if we had additional volunteers we know we needed, some spots we knew we needed to fill. We would send out an email just asking if anybody had people that would want to volunteer and earn more points, of course, for the company. And sometimes those emails can be a little overwhelming because we'll send out an email and I'll get 20 responses back. It's really hard, especially if it's only for 2 spots. So we wanted to make something easier and a little more fair too, because not everybody's checking their email, maybe they didn't get the email as quick as somebody else did. So inside Corporate Games Manager, we'll be able to post additional spots. We'll kind of put that out there. We'll try to let you know through our communications that there are some spots available, but you'll also be able to just kind of keep an eye on that. And then if there's spots there, you can claim them for your company, and then they'll become part of your volunteer assignments at that point too, and you'll be able to assign them to employees or friends and family. So we'll show you how to do that when we get into Corporate Games Manager. All right, so we're going to get a little more into the website now and kind of go through our some of our tools that are available. We'll talk about a few things on here, and then we'll actually go to the site to show you. But the admin toolkit, this is a pretty important piece of the corporate games. Inside the toolkit on the website, it has our administrative manual for Corporate Games Manager, in case you're after we show you how everything works, in case you have questions on features or how to do something, it should be listed in there. Our point system, we have a sheet that has the entire point system for the corporate games, every sport, every event, every one of those event pages does have their own point system listed there as well, but this is one place you can go look at all of them at once. And the team sport deadline schedule availability document that I mentioned before, that's in there. And then we have customizable promotional material in there as well. And this is kind of a key piece because not every company is different in how you can let employees know what's going on and how to get signed up and kind of promote the corporate games. And so we have a sample email that you can use You can use it as it is or take bits and pieces from it to make your own to send out to employees. We have flyers, posters, table tents. Those all have customizable sections where you can add a logo to them and your company code, which will explain a little bit what's important about that. And we have a TV display graphic in there. And we also have the InDesign files for all these things. So you can make your own out of that if you have people in your office that are capable of doing so. So also, if you want to, if you have materials that you think would be helpful to us, we have a spot on the website that we can add them as well. So we can put them out there and then people can kind of use those if they want to. Another big tool for the companies and for the administrators is our weekly emails that we send out. We have two kinds, and you'll see there on the far right, that's the administrator email. That's one from last summer, and it gives you an example of what that is. These will go through our Robly email system, so we'll probably won't send one of these for another week or two, but when we do, we'll be following up with all of you just to make sure you're receiving them, because you may have to whitelist it on your end, possibly, or it may go to your spam folder. So we'll make sure you're getting these, because they will, this is where we do a little hand holding too with the corporate games, because I mentioned all the deadlines for the different sports. There's no way you're going to remember all those. I refer back to a lot of this information as well as we plan out our weeks. So you can see on there participation deadlines this week. That's like the key thing on there to say what's coming up on Wednesday as far as what sports you need to let us know whether or not you're going to have a team. There may be some further information, say with road race, how employees can pick up the race numbers and check in, things like that. You can see the reminder on there for the track and field rosters from last year. That was something we had in. So those emails will be quick and to the point, and they'll explain to you what we need. To the left there is the employee email that'll go out. So every employee who's got an account in Corporate Games Manager will receive these. The admin email will just go to the company administrators to give you the difference there. So you as an administrator will actually receive two, one at about 8:15, one at about 8:30. That's kind of what we plan to do every Monday. And so that employee update, that's a little more dynamic, where we'll have some pictures from the events. We'll have a recap of the previous week, talk about the champions if there is team events. We'll have a link to the leaderboard. That is the most clicked link in that email every week, is that leaderboard, because everybody wants to see how their company's doing. And so we found that the emails really kind of move engagement and interaction for the employees. And so this has been a pretty big piece for us, and communications are huge in general for this event. So we definitely put our time in these emails and make sure that they come out every week. We'll also have these, the employee emails will be in the news section in Corporate Games Manager, which I'll kind of show you here in a little bit. And that way, there's another way that people can see them in case they're not getting them in their inboxes. All right, Kyle, do you want to talk about the company apparel?
Yes, I do. So we strongly encourage companies to purchase company apparel, have matching shirts or what have you. As you can see in the pictures and on our social media, it shows company pride. I don't know, you're also more likely to be in our social media post when you have company t-shirts. It's pretty inexpensive, free, or free, I don't know, not to say free, but inexpensive marketing for us to do for you. And it's also, especially right now, a great way to support maybe a local company by buying t-shirts. So strongly recommend it.
All right, thanks, Kyle. Yeah, the t-shirts are fun. We get a kick out of some of them. Everybody's got a unique one that they do. I know for mud volleyball, I think Shuttleworth and Ingersoll made their own shirts last year just for volleyball so that they could get them muddy. So that's kind of fun. We've also seen where a company will maybe make, if you're going to be on the mud volleyball team, you get two shirts. That way you could ruin one of them because you never know what's going to happen after that. All right, so now the fun part, we're going to go to the website. The focus here will be on Corporate Games Manager, but at the same time, I'll show you a few things with the website first before we get too far into that. I'll bring up the page here. Okay. All right, so here is the Corporate Games website. If you haven't been there yet, it is corridorcorporategames.org. And you can see now everything's up and running on this. Everything's live, ready to go since we kicked off today. So what I'm going to do first is I'll kind of show you the events. First of all, the homepage, we've got some some quick links for people. We have the dashboard up here, the button, which is where the corporate games manager, you actually go to log in and everything, but we do have a spot here to set up an account to access the dashboard. We also have employee instructions in case they need them, as well as instructions on the event check-in piece. The point system we have in the admin toolkit we have listed here, some frequently asked questions about corporate games, our event roster limits. We try to put some things on the front that everybody can access if they have questions. And then also for sign up to the mailing list, this just in case they're not receiving emails already from us, this is another way they can make sure they're getting them. Our event calendar down here, we'll keep that updated throughout the summer. Again, the specific event, specific calendars by divisions are listed there as well. Some of that information is repeated on the admin toolkit, but we'll get to that in a second here. So with the corporate games events, we do have, everything has its own page. You've got all the pages here on the drop down, but then we also have them here as well. And so you can click on a page and get all the information about an event. As Kyle mentioned before, the dates, the site, the time, how long things will generally take. A good example of that would be on dodgeball, where it says, how long will the tournament last? That was one of those things that we had gotten questions on in the past. And so we thought we should add that to the website, just to give an idea. If you got babysitters you got to worry about at home or things like that, just to kind of have an idea of how long you will play. So the admin toolkit, this is where we will have a recording of the webinar that we're doing right now. It'll be available hopefully later today. We'll have up there, and we'll probably put a slide kit too as well, or slide deck on there for all these slides in case you need them to show any other company administrators. Our point system is there, that admin manual for corporate games manager. The employee information that was on the homepage is also in here. And we did a video, we did a couple days ago for employees. We do like to be able to come out to companies as we can and give presentations. I know that I did that a few times last year, but in this current environment, plus just time-wise in general, it's not always possible to do so. And so this video, it's basically a much shorter version of this webinar, just geared towards the employees. And so you're welcome to show that. And we also we're happy to send you a PowerPoint, some notes on that if you want to do a video of your own. So we're happy to do a presentation of your own. And then the roster limits, deadline, schedule availability, I will pull up that document so you can see the 2020 version is here and has all of the dates and everything on there, ready to go. All right, and again, sport and event calendars. I do want to mention the track and field information is right here for athletic.net, so you can watch it at any time. And then the promotional information or the promotional materials are down below. So feel free to use what you want. We do get people asking if they can use our logos for t-shirts. Absolutely. We definitely want you to do that. It's great for us too. I mean, we're obviously trying to market this event and make it grow. So if you add that to your shirts and then people are out wearing them in the community, people will see that corporate games logo on there as well and wonder what it is. So that's a great thing for us. But all right, we're going to go ahead and get into the corporate games manager. And what we'll do if you're a returning administrator or a returning participant even, and now have administrator duties, your account's ready to go. It's the same thing as last year. Use your username and password from last year. You're ready to go. Go ahead and get in the system. Some of you might be doing that right now while we're talking, or have already gotten in there. So that one's all set up and ready for you. If you're a new company, a new administrator, somebody who doesn't have an account in the system at all yet, we will be sending an invite email out to you after this meeting. It's something we have to do manually because we have to give you permissions and everything and get it ready for you. So what it'll look like is right here, I created a second account for myself, and this is the email that you'll receive. You'll just accept the invitation and it'll take you right in to set up your account. I have already done this just to make this go a little quicker, but you can see I've been added to my company that I created. So it's all ready to go. Might have to put in a password and whatnot, but otherwise, my account is ready to go. But this is very similar to what a normal employee will see as well. And so now I believe, I'm logged in a couple different ways, so it doesn't make it easy. But from this login screen, for your employees, if they're a new user, I will show you how this works quick. We need an email and password, and preferably a company email. That just makes it cleaner, but not everybody has company emails, we realize, so they can use a home email address too. first and last name, gender, date of birth. As we mentioned earlier, we need that information for some of the events. And then this company code, this is where you'll put in this is where they'll put in a code. And I'll show you where to find that code in Corporate Games Manager for your company. This allows your employee to be connected directly to your company, and that way we've had it where they can use a drop-down menu, and you'd be amazed at how many people select their own company. So we wanted to make it kind of a more foolproof. And so I don't know. Yes, there we go. I actually didn't look that code up beforehand, but there's our code for Iowa Sports Foundation. So you can see how it was red until we got to that point, and then it lights up green and it shows the name of the company. So that's just another way they can verify that that is the correct company. And then here's the question about volunteer points. So everybody, I think the first time they go in this year, will have to at least verify their information. And so then they'll be asked this question again. And once you hit save, everybody does have to log in a second time. Once it's saved the account, that's not logging in. It requires you to then log in, and that's where you'll agree to the Corporate Games waiver. So I'm going to go do that now with the account that I set up. Hopefully it works the way it's supposed to here. All right, and so you can see right there, this is the very first thing before anybody can actually do anything in their account. They will get asked to agree to the liability waiver. So I'm going to hit agree on that. And now you can see my dashboard here. It didn't do it for me. Hopefully it does for you. But the very first admin that signs in for the first time, it should take you to the manage organization page. If it doesn't, then please go to that first. This is an important page before you have any employees come in, because this allows you to get set up ahead of time. And so it has your company name. You can put in your website address. It's not really necessary for us, but we just have some of that information in case you want to put it in there. It will tell you what division your company's in case you're not sure. It's right on that page. And then here's that company code. This is, again, why this page is so important. One of the pieces is because then you'll get that code for the organization so that you can give out to employees. And so as we talked about in our admin toolkit, that information, there's spots for you to add that code on to the flyers and everything too. You can also ask your employees questions like t-shirt size if you're looking to do shirts. I've had people ask for a cell phone number, ask a few other things. We have room for up to 10 questions. I don't think anybody's ever used more than 4 or 5 of those, but those questions will come up. If I just type in test question and save that, now under my info, there's another question there you can see. So I'll be able to answer that question. And it should, yes, there we go. It should say that I have questions that have not been answered. So if you happen to do that after someone's already set up their account, then at least that'll come back and ask that question. So that's where you have to just go in, and it's an open-ended answer. So you may want to specify if you're asking for t-shirts how you want that formatted, just to make it a little bit easier. But never mind that. So you can do that. You can also remove those questions if you don't want them. I'm going to do that just to make this a little bit cleaner as we go through it. All right, so I'm going to give you a little kind of an overview of this dashboard. And again, my info, that was where you can go back if you need to edit a password, anything like that, you can do that. The sign up for events, this is where they will declare their interest. And we do say declaring interest because with some of the sports being limited, you're not guaranteed to get a spot. So I'm going to sign up for a few events here that I have an interest in. And as you can see, it's everything for my age group is listed there, for the male 40-49. And we'll have, after I sign up for some events, you can always go back in, sign up for more. Some of the events do have questions attached to them, and this is helpful for you as an admin if you'd like to try to select sport captains for the team sports. We have that information in there. Bowling, if you're looking for ways to build your team for bowling, we have a company average in there, or a bowling average if you happen to have one, if you're looking to make a competitive team. So these questions, again, they're open-ended answers. They are not required questions, so I can just go through and hit save without answering them. But if I do put in an answer, there's a spot that you'll be able to see that. The Burst Your Thirst dashboard, this is on just for today. We'll bring that back when Burst Your Thirst starts in June. But what this is it gives a quick way, because Burst Your Thirst is run through Live Healthy Iowa's website that has its own dashboard that's set up for recording water intake and activity and everything. And so we've created kind of a quick way to go over The important thing is that your username and password has to match on both sites in order for this to work, in order for it to kind of tunnel through to the other side. And I'll tell you right now, it won't work for me because I'm not on my normal account. I'm on my test account here. So the nice thing is if it doesn't work, it will show you why it doesn't work. And so it'll have something on there that tells you that your username and password must match. And then it'll also give you the ability to go straight over to the Live Healthy Iowa site from there and log in. I'm already logged in. So you can see this is what it would look like if I was using my normal account. It would just hop right over to this. And then, of course, we have a log out button. Believe it or not, we didn't have one of those for a while. We didn't think about the fact that you might have employees that are sharing a computer for some of this, so they can certainly log out there. This top piece is all your employees will see on the sidebar. That is the piece that's for the employees. Everything else underneath is for the company administrator. And so we'll go through some of that here. The event participation piece, this is where you will tell us if you have a team or not for an event. And so you can see on this screen, we have the events listed. There are more than one page of events on here. You can sort it, you can search. So there's different ways to get around on this. You can sort it by the deadline if you want to, by what sports deadlines are coming up. And so as we talked about with bags, the deadline is June 3rd at 5 p.m. And so on here, you'll know that right away when you look at it. There's the number of slots available. Since there's 2 open teams, you're allowed to have 4 spots total. And so here's where you'll just select yes or no on having teams. And I've got 5 people interested. I've got 4 slots. I'm gonna have teams. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit yes to that. And we did have a little confusion with this last year. This looks a little different this year because it was a little confusing as to what it was trying to tell you as to whether you had set it to yes or not. And so you can see it's been set to yes. If you need to change it, you can change it to no. So it's got all the information there. And then once this deadline hits, this June 3rd at 5 p.m., this will lock. You won't be able to change it anymore. So you want to make sure that you've reviewed it that week to make sure that you have the answer that you want. And I'm using bags as an example because you'll see here it says 1 team. You're allowed to have 2 teams, and there's a spot for those multiple team events. Only a few events are like this, like spike ball, bags, and if you're Division I, 3-on-3 basketball. Here's where you select 1 or 2 teams. So now I've selected 2 teams. It says that my team count is updated. I go back to the event participation screen, and you can see I have 2 teams. And so now we're also going to, this is where we can see who's interested and we can add them to a team. So I'm going to go ahead and add people to my teams. You can see you can add them to team 1 or team 2 if it's a multi-team event. And so now I have my team set, and each of these individuals will get an email to alert them that they've been added to a team. So if I go back into my email, you see I've been added to a roster. I'm on bags team, team 1. So then that'll kind of direct me to go back to the website so I can see on my dashboard down here, I was already added as a green check mark to the fitness walk because there's no action necessary for the fitness walk. It's an unlimited event. Everything else is listed as pending if it's a team sport, pending if it's a team sport or an event where we have to be added to a roster. And since I've been added to the bags tournament, I've been green check marked and it shows me the team I'm on. I can also remove myself from events if I do not want to do those. You'll notice though, since I've been added to the bags team, I can't remove myself, and that's on purpose because we don't want a scenario where you have set your team roster and somebody last minute decides they're not going to do it or they can't, they don't tell you and they just hit remove. And now you're in a situation where maybe you have to go for a team. So somebody's got a microphone on. I'm not sure who it is, but if you could make sure you mute that, that'd be wonderful. All right, so going back through again, event participation, the screen, as we talked about the team events, you'll see there's also a button up here, a toggle for individual events. There's no action required on these. This is just another quick way that you can see if people are signed up. Some of my test people, I know I signed up for yoga. So you can see I've got 4 people interested in yoga. I can just quick take a look. And as you can see, they're already on the roster. There's nothing that you have to do for that. But it does just kind of show you kind of a quick look if you want to see how many people are signed up. And we have some reports that you can pull that if you want to, mass email the people who are signed up just as a reminder, things like that, we'll show you how to do that. So again, over here, manage organization, this screen is always available to you to make modifications if you need to. And then managing captains, this is the sport captain piece that we talked about earlier, where you can assign an employee to specific events or sports. And so if I hit new captain, I'm going to add the account that I have my test account here to that. And the nice thing is too, if you're a returning company, you see, I'm in here a couple of times just because I've been playing around with it, but you'll see that not all of my employees are listed. That's because it only pulls the people that have signed into their account and agreed to the waiver. So that if you were in last year's corporate games and you've got a couple hundred people in the system and 20 of those no longer work for the company, you're not going to see all of those people on here. We wanted to do this as clean as possible. Obviously, it's going to wind up being a bigger list as you get people into the system, but we wanted to keep some of the noise out of it to make it easier to find people. So if I set myself up as a sport captain, let's just say for bags, I'm going to hit save on that. And now you can see I have another menu. And it's not really necessary as a company administrator, but if you have non-administrators, this is a way to give them permissions to go in and see the rosters. And now this person can go in and make changes to the rosters as a sport captain. So they can't tell us yes or no to having a team. That's an important part to know. We did that on purpose just because we don't want everybody to have access to that menu, just to avoid any confusion with that. So if you have people specifically that will be telling us yes or no, you may want to add them as administrator. Not a big deal, just let us know and we can change their permissions to be an administrator instead of a normal user. So that's kind of how this sport captain piece works. Again, email alerts. We've kind of added as many into the system as makes sense. And so this is letting me know that I've been added as a sport captain for the bags tournament. So I'll know to go to check out my dashboard to get more information. And so with that sport captain menu, I can edit, I can add more events to that person. An important note on here is every event is listed. It's not necessary to add sport captains for everything. It's up to you if you want to add one for yoga. That's just a way for maybe some person who you want to kind of communicate with the people that participate in yoga to help encourage them to come out. That's a way that you can give them access to see that list a little bit easier to see who's all signed up. We've also done, if it's a multi age group event, such as the road race or track and field, the road race, we have a category. It's another piece built in the back end of the system. Instead of showing all of the age groups for the road race, it just shows, in this screen anyway, it just shows the road race, and to make it easier. Track and field, similar thing, just because there's so many events. So you'll see in a second the reason for that. And so if I click on road race now, I'll be able to see every one of the spots for that. And again, this participating piece, because it's an unlimited event and we don't need to know if companies are truly participating or not, it's just automatically checked to the green check mark. And also on my dashboard as a sport captain, I've got my events here just as a quick reference to be able to see that I have 5 people signed up for bags. I've got a couple people signed up for the road race. You don't act on anything from here, but just a quick reference for that. So I'm going to go in and with the manage captains, of course, I can delete captains too. And so I'm going to remove myself as a captain and get rid of some of that extra clutter on the screen for now. All right, the volunteer piece in the in my manage organization, this is where I'd said yes, so the volunteer menu shows up. If you have it set to no or don't have it set to anything yet, that volunteer menu won't show up. And so here's where you can go in and select preferences based on the events that you're interested in. I'm just picking some random ones. So you'll be able to do that, hit save. Once you hit save, those will lock in place. So make sure that you are good with what you selected before you hit save, because then it is locked in. Also here you can see any assignments that our company has been assigned for volunteering. Right now, no assignments, of course, but this is where the open assignment piece comes in. I have one test opportunity already set up on here. And so if you see this on your screen, any company can claim this. Any administrator can hit claim it, and it'll become your volunteer assignment now. So now it shows up underneath the volunteer assignments, and so I can assign people to that spot. I'm going to look to assign employee, and you can see all of these people have said they're interested in volunteering. So I'm going to add it to myself. And the nice thing is, this is new this year too, you can assign a non-employee, since non-employees can fill a volunteer spot. You can put in their name. The name is required for this. The volunteer email is not, but it gives you an opportunity to put in an email address. All right, I do have a question here. Can a participant in an event also be a volunteer for an event? That's a great question. And the answer is it depends. It just depends on the event. Say 3-on-3 basketball for scorekeeping. Not really, no, because the games are going on while they're volunteering. If you were assigned to be a check-in spot for the fitness walk, probably yes, because you'd still be able to walk within the time frame, or something like yoga where the check-in is before the event is held and then you're done volunteering, then yes, that's an easy one to say, yeah, well, you can do that. So again, that's a long answer. Short answer is it depends. And, we can certainly answer those individually or kind of make a determination on there as well. So now you can see I have some volunteers assigned. You can see this is my personal volunteer assignment, or actually, no, sorry, that's not it. That's for everybody to see. Now where I'll personally see that I'm assigned a volunteer spot is down here. And also, again, it will send you an email that lets you know what you've been assigned for, the time frame, the location, all of that. So we tried to make that as put in the alerts that make the most sense. Moving on to managing employees. This is where you'll see everybody that you have in your system. If you're a returning company, you can go in there now and see all the employees that have accounts set up. And so there's a few features in here that are nice. If you want to invite employees in and bypass the company code part, you can put in an email address. This is not the recommended way to let people in. It's not as easy as just telling them to set up their own account and using the company code. There's more steps to this. So when there's more steps, there's always a possibility of an error or a confusion somewhere. So you can do this if you feel that you want to, go ahead. We recommend no more than 10 at a time because you can put in multiple email addresses, just put a comma in between them. If you start to put in too many at a time and hit invite, you may trigger a spam alert on your company side, and then nobody will get the emails. So you want to be careful with that. Within here, you'll have a few things that you can do. If you want, as an admin, you can edit the person's information. You can edit their password. If they have trouble with the password, you can help them with that. So there are some things that you can do on your end before having to reach out to us about helping with some of those things. You can also look at the person's events that they're signed up for. You can remove events for them. This is the main reason we add this. We had some companies asking because people might not have access to computers all the time, but they said, hey, can you take me out of this event or something like that, just to keep it clean in the system. You have the ability to do that. You can also add events for that person, and it will show you the events that they're eligible for. So you can see the age groups on here are based on that person. It won't take you to the question screen. If you pick an event that has a question, it'll just take you back to the main screen here. But you can certainly add events for people. That way you can add them to a roster, things like that. You can also remove someone from your company. This won't remove their account entirely, but it'll remove them from the company if they're no longer working for your company. And that way it keeps them from signing up for events through your company. And if they move to a different company, we'll probably have them set up a new account, but at least this way it kind of cleans things up on your side. So the managing news, first I'll go back to the dashboard and show you, if I didn't mention this before, we do have a news section from the corporate game staff. This is news that we control. Information we'll put out, as I mentioned, the weekly emails. We'll put the information for that in here. Right now, we just have some simple things like following the games on social media and the calendar, the point system, and specific rules or specific information for the events. So we have all that there. On a normal dashboard, an employee dashboard, they'll have something up in the upper right here that says Contact Company Administrator. That's where they'll be able to click that and send an email to their administrators, because they might not know who all the administrators are. So they may have just been told to sign up for an account, and now they have questions. And so that'll allow them to reach out to you easily. And so as part of the news piece on here, there's another section on here that you can add in, and I've created a test one, but you can create news, put information here. It does have some HTML and some formatting ability if you want to change colors, add some links, things like that. You're able to do that. My test one is, of course, very simple. And so you can see published or not published. Right now, it's not published. So you can create things ahead of time too. If you know you want to put some information out there and get organized for later on, you can build these ahead of time and publish them and unpublish them as needed. I'm going to hit save on that. And now on my dashboard, you'll see that comes in as news from your company admin. When I want to unpublish that, I just uncheck it and hit save again. And so you can see here what's published and what's not pretty easily. And finally on here, I'm going to go into reports and kind of show you some information on how the reports work. Right now, I don't know that I'll have a lot to put in here, but I'll explain these a little bit. You can certainly try them out and see what works best for you. But the participant by user summary and participants by user detail, those are the two reports where you're going to see your participants in the system. And the difference between the two is a summary will put everybody on one line each. So say I have, several events that I had declared interest for. It'll have my name, my basic information, email, date of birth, things like that. And then in one cell, it'll show all the events that I'm interested in. And sometimes and the nice thing is we do have this set up to be kind of a multi-level. So you can do it by one of the categories we have set up if you just want to pull all the road race participants, or instead of categories, it will have you can just pull it by the different events. So we have that ability in here to do that. Let's see, road race. Let's see if this shows up what I'm looking for. So I pulled it specifically for road race. You can see in here it does have every event that these people are signed up for, just because it really needs to do that. But this is a way you just want to pull road race. Now you can pull and grab this information quickly and give maybe their email address with that. The detail report, the difference is there. So if I'm signed up for 5 events, I'll show up on 5 different lines for those 5 events. And that can be useful if you want to filter things out and just grab specific events, make it very specific, you can do that. Again, same idea here. You've got the different export options that you can do with that. Volunteer reports will show everybody in the company that has said they're interested in volunteering. So a very similar report to what we just saw. Company question, this will give a lot of the same information, but it'll show the answers to those questions that you asked, whether it be t-shirt size, cell phone number, whatever you've asked for, you'll get the answers in there. Event questions report, kind of same idea. This is where if someone said they're interested in being a sport captain, this is where that'll show up in the questions or in the answers there. And then the volunteer assignment report is the volunteer assignments that you have been given and who has been assigned to those spots. So there's that, and it doesn't look like it's pulling in our non-employee, but I'll reach out to our software person to make sure it does that. But this is just a quick way to see what you have assigned, what you haven't. If you want to send an email to those people, you can pull their email address and everything else. So the one report that's not in here is on our check-in system. We're getting that added yet. We've got it added on our side just to make sure everything's working right, and we will get that over before the events start. Real quick, while we're talking about the check-in, I will show you kind of what you may have may have seen the version for mobile if you clicked on that QR code. But I'll also show you what it's going to look like on the screen, and it's going to be very, very similar. It really should be the same. And so pretty simple. Find user. I'm going to type in my last name. I'll probably be in here a few different times. I'm going to pick one of those names. So find yourself. If you can't find a user, then they don't have their account all set up. So here's where they can do that. Actually, too, if it's somebody from last year who has an account, they'll still show up on here. For example, Roger, my cousin works at Transamerica. He shows up on here. He hasn't agreed to his waiver, of course, because he hasn't been in the system yet, but we can check him in, and at that point, it would allow him to agree to the waiver. So if it's a brand new user, you can set up a new account using that button. Otherwise, if you're in here, just select user. Here it shows the events that we are checking in for. The reason we have this is, say, like on bowling, where men's and co-ed and women might be going on the same night at the same time. So for me, if for bowling, it'd probably show co-ed and men because I'm eligible for those 2 events. It would allow me to pick which one. That way, too, on your side on the reports, you'll know exactly which event that person checked in for. So once I hit check-in, this gives me an option. If it's not the right person or right event, you can go back. Otherwise, hit check-in. And then you get a little, the nice thing is with this system too, a little notification that you did actually check in. So we'll be able to pull the reports on our side. If any of you tried checking in, we'll get to see them and see how that looks from our side. So yeah, so that's kind of covers everything on the website. go back, excuse me here, let's go back to our presentation. And again, this is all the information that we kind of showed how everything works. Again, we will be recording this so you can look at it again if you choose. We also have the admin manual that goes through everything with screenshots, kind of covers all the events, all the pieces of Corporate Games Manager and how that works. All right, so we're talking a little bit about strategies for success with the corporate games. Some things that we've seen from other companies, not only in the corridor, but with our Des Moines corporate games, kind of what's worked well for them. Communications are huge, and I mentioned communications earlier. They're huge for us as far as communicating with the company admins and the participants. It's also huge on your side as far as the company admins and reaching out to employees. The biggest thing is getting the word out, especially if you're a larger company. Sometimes it's hard to do. You might not be allowed to do mass emails. So there's got to be other ways to do that. Hopefully, you know, given the current situation, if usually that's not something that's allowed, if people are working remotely, hopefully maybe an exception can be made to send an email out to let people know to get signed up. You know, we've got a lot of tools in there for getting information out. If you need advice, have questions, again, ask us. We're always happy to help out and help work with your individual company to get the information out, because we want you to be successful. We want your company to have a great time in the corporate games. We want your company to come back and participate. But we know and we feel that this is a great event for employees. And so if employees have a bad experience because they didn't understand what was going on, we don't want that to happen. We want them to have a good experience because they've gotten all the information they can. The other piece of this is delegation. I know some people do kind of a one-person show when they're running the corporate games. We definitely recommend delegating as much as possible, either having another employee help serve as an admin, have interested employees serve as support captains, anything you can do to take some of the work off your plate, because we do what we can on our side, but there's some heavy lifting that has to happen on the company side. It's just not possible for us. We're not in the company, so we can only do so much on our end. So we want to make sure that it's easier for you as an admin as well. And finding your company's strengths, you know, you don't have to do everything in the corporate games. It's not required. That question comes up occasionally to us if it's required or you get penalized for not participating in things. If you tell us no on a dodgeball team, no penalty, no worries, no issues for us. You know, maybe find some strengths, find some things that you know you're going to be successful in or be able to get people out to. It might be the participation events. It might be Burst Your Thirst. You know, it might be you got a group that really wants to play dodgeball, so you know you're going to have a good dodgeball team. You know, things like that. Maybe you run your own in-house tournament if you get a chance to kind of select a team because it's so competitive. There's so many different ways to find out what your company is good at, and so you may be good at everything, or you may be good at a handful of things. It's whatever works best for you and gets the outcome that you're looking for. And then again, ask questions. Mostly to us, you know, if employees will probably be asking you questions, and then we like to work directly with the company admins to help answer those questions. Or if you have questions, you know, definitely ask us. We're happy to help out as much as we can. And we do have some admins that you know, participated last year and may have some good answers. We know kind of some of those people that we could reach out to as well, especially if it's specific things to a company your size or a company that's like yours. Maybe we can reach out to another one of similar size or it's in a similar industry or something that may have a similar employee makeup that maybe we can see what's worked for them. And so we can try and help you with that too if there's any strategies that you're looking at. So that is the end of the presentation. Thank you so much for sticking with us. There's a lot of information in there and it just takes a while to go through. So we really appreciate it. We're going to stay here for a little bit and we'll be happy to answer any questions. We're recording this, so if any questions get asked, we'll keep those as part of the recording. But you can type your question in and we'll keep an eye on that screen for the questions and we can answer them, you know, out loud. Also, if you'd like to ask the question over your microphone, there's a little spot where you can raise your hand. And so if you do that, I'm gonna pull up that screen so I can see it a little bit better. And we can unmute you at that point. if someone can, Katie has a question here. If someone cannot attend at an event at the last minute, will we be allowed to send a sub? Yes, that's part of the reason. Well, mostly it's part of the reason we don't ask for rosters. We don't need to know if it's someone last minute. We do have some occasionally. We've had people say, "Hey, so and so is subbing in for so and so on the dodgeball team tonight," and my answer back is always, "That's great. You know, that's fine. It doesn't matter to us as long as that's an eligible employee, an eligible participant. It doesn't matter. We don't need to know because they'll check in. We'll know that they were there when they do their check in at that point. The exception to that, of course, would be something where you can't send somebody to do the road race for somebody else. You know, they would have had to check in, get their race number the night before for that. Obviously, age group and everything else, competitive stuff, something like that we couldn't do. Track and field is the main example, though, because of the roster situation. Since that's the only thing we ask for with the roster, that's the big one. And a question here on T-shirts. We do not order shirts, Beth. That would be something that you'd want to do on your own. We can give you some ideas, as to how that shirt could look. We can show you some pictures. You can also go like on our Facebook page and look at photos. But the T-shirts are totally on your own. We do encourage it, but it's not required for anything. And we do get questions occasionally like jerseys for basketball, things like that. We don't need them. It's a small enough event. We don't need numbers or anything like that. Everybody has a name. So if you get a foul, we can get your name, that sort of thing. So so the T-shirts, whatever you want to do for those is perfectly fine. And then a question from Sarah. It looks like, yes, you guys changed to Green State Credit Union. And is there a way to mass update email addresses? Not specifically, no, but we can make changes on our side. If we need to do that, Kyle and I can work with you on that. If their email addresses still work, we had this example in Des Moines with Corteva, and they were DuPont Pioneer. A lot of people are still in the system with their Pioneer email addresses. As long as those emails continue to work, then it's not an issue for us. Because a lot of times it's an alias. Like I have several aliases under mine with our different programs that we run. But we can change that. If you need any help doing, or you need to do that, we can do that. I've done it before, and so we can certainly look at that for you. Just reach out to Kyle or I, and we can help you on that. All right, and I've got a question. Oh, okay, Sarah. Yeah, going back to yours a little bit. Yeah, half will be green stated with new people. That's fine. It doesn't affect anything on our end. And then I got a question here from Clinton about how early do cancellations adjustments due to weather come out 24 hours plus or more close to the start of the event. Generally, if we're talking a weather issue, for the most part, it's going to be more last minute, usually more on site. Our goal is to get the events in if we can. So we had, I'll give a couple situations. Last year, we had to cancel Bocce early because the river was up. And it sits right next to the river where the Bocce courts are. That was one where we canceled early. It just made sense. It didn't make sense for us to wait because we knew the river wasn't going to come down. So we did that at least a week early to let people know that was happening. But if we had thought that the river would come down and wouldn't be a factor for us, we probably would have went ahead and tried to have, or at least waited till closer to it. If it's a thunderstorm type thing, the big thing what we tell people is watch our social media. That's the best place for us to get the word out quickly, is on our Facebook page, on our Twitter page. Instagram probably isn't great for that, but Facebook and Twitter are, where we can quickly, because we'll be on site at that point if the issues something with a thunderstorm coming up. If it's a full day washout, there might be an issue. Last year we had kickball and we had to cancel that because of the weather. It rained overnight, and I was out the fields at 6 in the morning when we were scheduled to start at 9, and we made the call at that point. So I would say if there's ever an issue that comes up that's going to be more of a last minute change due to weather, just keep an eye on social media. If it's far enough in advance, like several days or a week, or in the case with our current issue, if we know a few weeks beforehand that an event's going to have to be postponed or changed, we'll put that out. We'll put it out in our email communications. We'll put it on social media. We'll probably email directly to the company admin so that you have all the information on that. All right, I've got another question here. The company code's going to the admins. Roxanne, the website's open now, so people can start indicating interest in their events. The question about the company code, that we don't actually send that out. That's kind of our little way to make sure everybody gets into Corporate Games Manager. So it's on the company or the manage organization screen if you go into Corporate Games Manager. And that code, if you had the code you used last year, won't be any different. We didn't change those, so it should be the same code for you guys. All right, and it looks like Nora, you asked a question about if we can't do Meals from the Heartland due to COVID-19, can we do a food drive to help out? That would be something we can talk about with Meals from the Heartland and see how that works for them. I'm not sure what their structure is set up for as far as that goes, but it's a great idea. We're definitely open to ideas. We may have to get creative for a time this year, and so we've talked about a good example being this new check-in system we have. It allows us to do some virtual things that we couldn't do before. So there may be an opportunity for a virtual fitness walk or bike ride or things like that that we can do. Obviously, our goal is to have the event as it's scheduled, but we may have to move some things back. And so our plan is to get in, of course, if in a worst case type scenario, get in as much as we can, get in, make it as much of the event as we can, but we're definitely be looking at more ways to get people involved because we feel this is really important right now. I know our staff, we've got 9 people on staff and haven't seen most of them in person for a good week and a half. So it's important to have different ways to interact with the employees and with our staff and everything to keep things moving while we can. All right, if anybody else has any other questions, happy to do that. Again, if you want to ask over with your audio, go ahead and there's a little raise your hand thing. We can take care of that. I'm going to go back through these questions. We had a bunch come in at the same time, so I'll make sure I didn't miss anything. Looks like we've answered all the questions that are out there so far. If anybody has any others, we'll probably hang out here for another 4 or 5 minutes and just kind of wait. All right, so we got a question here. Yes, we will be posting a recording of this. Yeah, we'll do that. It takes a little while to process. So as soon as this is over, we'll get that going. And once it's processed, we've got a YouTube channel that we'll put that up at. We will have it linked on the website as well. And one of the follow-up emails, because we'll send out an email letting people know about athletic.net and things like that. And we'll put that in there when it's available and put a link to it as well. All right, I think we're going to go ahead and end the webinar. Thanks again to everybody for joining us today. And again, we'll get this posted. We'll get a follow-up email to you with that information, and look forward to working with you as you get ready for the summer. Have a great rest of your day.